well, facing the city in particular. And we're trying to see how much we can secure local neighborhoods and the city of Georgetown. So I apologize for being late. We expect that our worship will be here shortly to talk with you as well, and other councillors, particularly those councillors who are responsible for various constituencies, that they will come in, and that together we can have this conversation. This meeting is really called for us to begin a conversation on how we can improve local neighborhoods, how we can foster better and enduring relationships between the council, community leaders and community groups, and how we can network between the council and communities and across communities in the city of Georgetown. We believe that this is important because we will not have the desired success we seek to achieve unless we have the full support and cooperation of all of our residents in local communities. We believe we can do nothing meaningful and purposeful without the support of our communities and our community leaders. And this is why we've called this meeting. We believe that you are important to the decision-making process of this council, and that in fact the council exists because of communities and because there is a need for us to work with communities, providing all of the vital municipal services we provide to local communities. We believe that if we work with local communities and their leaders, we will be able to improve what we're doing at the level of the city, because you will be able to monitor the works we're doing in those communities and will be able to give us feedback. So we will know what we need to improve on, what we need to change, and so on. And we feel that we need this kind of relationship with our community leaders and our community groups. I know that there are many more community groups, well organized, well mobilized, and we hope that those leaders will come in. We're also going to be meeting with religious leaders and leaders of religious groups, religious organizations, because we feel these are really important stakeholders in what we seek to achieve at the level of the city. And this is so much more important now, particularly at this time when we're experiencing some security challenges in the city of Georgetown. You will know that most of the things that have happened so far as it relates to security really happened in the city, and that the council has a statutory responsibility to secure the integrity of the city and to ensure that residents, that local communities, that local neighborhoods are safe. And this is part of our general mandate, and this is what we have to do. But as I said earlier in my remarks, that we could not do it without the support of our communities. This municipality must forever be connected to communities. It must forever be connected. It must forever be in touch. It must forever be in conversation with communities, not sporadically, but consistently and constantly and continually talking with communities to see how we can improve conditions in those neighborhoods. We need to have this relationship as well, because we as a municipality do not have the wherewithal to provide all the services that is required in those local communities. As a result of that, we believe that if we get the help of our citizens, we can do much more. Recall that in 2015, 2016, this municipality initiated a program that allowed residents to organize themselves to do work in their communities. We provided small contracts to the tune of $1.5 million, and we employed thousands of local residents to clean up the area and to do work. We achieved a twin benefit using that initiative. One, we provided employment for citizens in the local community, so they had work to do, and they were happy to do it. And at the same time, we were able to have those communities cleaned up by those very people. And we, using that initiative, achieved great success. And most of Georgetown was cleaned up by residents, and at the same time, they were gainfully occupied, they were employed, and they did work. We're looking at a similar arrangement for this year, and what we hope to do this time around is to have the constituency councillors involved, and that they should spearhead, they should monitor, they should look over, give oversight to this assembly initiative later on. So all that we seek to do in local communities will now be done through councillors who have a direct responsibility to ensure the health and safety of the local communities and in which the people who elected them reside. So later on, we will tell you a little bit more about how we're going to approach this particular aspect of our work here. And we would like to have a conversation on that as well. So I just wanted to set the context of this meeting and to let you know the purpose why we're all here. So that together we can hold hands, and together with like minds, like hearts, we can advance the interests of the city. One of the things that we are worried about in communities, and I should get straight to it, is the fact that residents, property owners in local communities, and businesses who operate in those communities have not been honoring their civic obligation to pay their fair share of taxes to the city. This is worrying us. Our records will show that when we look at the records of just 6 big businesses, we're owed over $6 billion. Now imagine if we were able to get that money, what we can actually do for local communities in the city of Georgetown. Imagine what we can do in the area of drainage. We have been working in drainage, we've been doing a lot of work in drainage, and that is why, in spite of heavy rains and the coincidence of heavy rains and high tide, you are seeing very little overtopping, because we have been spending monies in the area of drainage. And even as I speak to you now, we have a massive draining project going on in Border and Lazytown, in the central business district, because we want to reduce overtopping. Because once you have overtopping, It interferes with the integrity of the environment. It interferes with the integrity of physical buildings. And obviously, it will interfere with the economics and investment of the city, and later on the development of the city. But we've been spending in drainage. We've been spending monies in garbage collection, and you know about the problem we had recently, where we owe our contractors over $300 million in arrears, and where we are paying out every month to our 2 contractors alone nearly $45 million. I'm only talking about garbage here now. $45 million. Where we have other responsibilities for law enforcement, meat and food inspection, ensuring the integrity of our building codes, public health and environmental services. We have markets, we have cemeteries, and while I was coming, I had a discussion with the engineer, because I'm saying to him that however we find the money, we will have to find the money to do the cemetery. Because you couldn't treat the dead the way we're treating the dead. And if you look at the condition of the cemetery now, we are not proud of the physical state of the cemetery. And we are making many communities in many areas vulnerable because of the way we have the cemetery. So we will have to call in those contractors who usually give us credit. We will have to ask them to go into the cemetery and to clean it up and to have it in a state that is acceptable to all, at least something that we all can be pleased with, not even proud, but that we can be pleased with. And we will have to repair the gates to the cemetery so that we can keep them locked. Yesterday afternoon, you know, that the joint services, they were combing the cemetery because it was believed that, and I've not had any new reports, that some of the individuals that they're looking for, that they were hiding out in the cemetery. I mean, you couldn't have a cemetery in that condition almost in the heart of the city. It is totally unacceptable, and we have to fix it. But we can only provide all these vital services if we have the resources to do it. What is happening is that some of our friends in the business community and some of our friends who are property owners have not been honoring their side of the bargain. And this is something I want to bring to community leaders, because I want to ask you to mobilize your groups, to go to property owners and to talk to them and to ask them, if they've not done it, that they should come and settle their accounts with us, and to let them know that their settling their accounts with us is important, because as they settle their accounts with us, we would have money to release back to the very communities to have work done in the community, have works done in the community, done by community people. Because one of the policies of this council is that once there is work to be done in a community of a level that can be managed by individuals, that those works should be done by the people who are living in those communities. So for example, if we have works to do in Lodge, or if we have works to do in East Rhineville, if we have work to do in South, or if we have works to do in North Rhineville, we're not going to bring people from Campbellville, or people from Kitty, or people from Bel Air, or people from somewhere else to do the works. The people who are living in those communities will be given the opportunity with pay to get those works done in the community. We believe it is more beneficial, and we see better results when the people clean up their own communities. Thank you very much. So the first point I want to make and bring to us is the concern we have about property taxes, that people have not been paying property taxes. Now, obviously people ask the question, well, if they're not paying, what are you doing about it? And the law has given us a recourse to the courts. But the process to recover this money using the legal system is so cumbersome that sometimes it takes forever for you to get through to the courts and for you to even begin processing the sale of people's properties who are not paying their property rates. And this is what we face. And as a result of this cumbersomeness, some defaulters are taking advantage of the system and continue to neglect to pay their taxes. If we don't get the taxes or the property rates, we are unable to provide all the necessary services, all the vital services that we were expected to provide to local communities.